Well, the good news is it's a perfect fit and it should seal up nice. I have to stain these boards inside and out. But the bad news is I'm just thinking it's too high. It's like an inch, maybe an inch too high. The microphone is the highest part on there, which is a little over 2 inches. And this wood is almost 4 inches. So I kind of fucked up. Like if I could have had this maybe 3 inches, but they really didn't have that. But this would take like, there's no way 2 gallons is even gonna do anything with this. I bet you this is like 6 gallons of epoxy. So I'm not sure if I should, if I stain it and then wood glue it, I completely commit to it. Or do I somehow trim? I might go to Home Depot right now and see if they could cut this. All right, so I went back and got new wood trimmed down to right where I need it. It's about 2 inches and a quarter height, which will save me on some epoxy. Got it stained. And now it's just sealing and drying, the waiting game. I'm estimating probably 4 gallons of epoxy to make this, to finish this piece. All right, well, here's where I'm at with my project. What's gonna happen next is I'm actually gonna stain this and then fill this with epoxy. And then it should be done. All right, so my epoxy came in the mail today from Amazon. If you know epoxy, you know it's gotta be 50-50 to mix. And look at this, it's like an discrepancy here, an inch off, and it's still sealed. So that's kind of bullshit. I'm doing my table here, my guitar piece. So I'm gonna have to order another couple gallons anyway, but this piece is gonna look pretty sick. All right, I just finished my chairs. They came out sweet. And well, they're not finished. I have to epoxy these once the stain dries. But these are my bar stools for my new table. All right, so we're in the home stretch of my awesome guitar project here. I'm gonna mix some epoxy and stir it for like 10 minutes, and then I can do the first pour. It's gonna be a 1-inch pour, followed by another 1-inch pour. Epoxy is a 50-50 ratio. And I already called Amazon to bitch because, as you can see, this one's like short. I don't know why, so I'm getting gypped. Thanks, Amazon. So 50-50 mix. And because of temperature and stuff, I'm up here rather than in my workshop, so I gotta be extra careful when I'm pouring this stuff. You know, being in the kitchen, I don't want it to get, to be a huge mess. But check back with me and we'll see how we're doing. All right, and here we are. Wish me luck. It's a little nerve-wracking because I built this frame myself. Next level genius idea. I silicone a little extra barrier with this guitar cord here, just to give it a little extra protection. So this is gonna be the first pour. as you can tell, it's going to need quite a lot of epoxy. I'm going to have to probably use, I would say, 4 gallons total. Maybe even more. Because this was 1 gallon and it barely did anything. All right, so I got 1 gallon of epoxy in there and it barely did anything. So I'm doing my second pour right now. This is gallon number 2. The way this is looking, this is gonna be like $500 worth of epoxy. Probably gonna take 6 to 8 gallons of epoxy to completely fill this thing up. So right now, this is gallon number 2, about to get poured. Epoxy's, it's a lot of work, you know. There's a lot involved with epoxy. Temperature's gotta be just right. The mix ratio's gotta be a perfect 50-50 to the, you know, the resin hardener. You know, and that's why these pieces cost big money. You know, and then you see river tables and you see stuff like this. The artist is not, you know, trying to rape you. It's just trying to recoup money invested. You know, mostly on the epoxy. So even with 2 gallons, you could see, I mean, it kind of sucks because it's barely doing anything. Yeah, I bet you this thing's gonna take, God, I hate to say 8 gallons of epoxy, but it's looking like maybe. And I should have just kind of went the glass top route, which would have been $300. But now I'm past the point of no return here. Well, actually, that's not true. I could just leave this as is and get a glass top. And it will still have a cool effect. So pretty much I feel like I just wasted 2 gallons of epoxy. I mean, it looks really cool that it's covered in epoxy, but I really wanted this to be completely flush with epoxy. That would, my estimation based on what just happened here, as you can see, it's like 1/8 of an inch. I mean, there's nothing. Would probably be, this piece to fill it to the top would probably need 10 gallons of epoxy. Which, if you know the prices of epoxy, is quite a lot of money. So it'd be cheaper to just get a glass top to finish this off. All right, so I'm happy to say my project is finished. I got these 2 chairs that I garbage picked and refurbished. They were in pretty bad shape. Took care of those. Put a slab here, stained it. So I have a little table. And here is the finished table. I put 2 gallons of epoxy in there. I was gonna just kind of hemming and hawing about what to do with this thing. And this is the finished product. I wanted originally to fill it entirely with epoxy, and that would have just took like a ton. But this is a beautiful, beautiful glass top that weighs almost 100 pounds or even more. It's like a 1/2 inch thick glass, practically bulletproof. Real happy with just exactly how it turned out. And I swapped tables. I put the table that was there, I actually put the leaves back in it and made it into an 8-person dining room set here. And then the old table is there. We just got to figure out what to do with that. But yeah, everything turned out great. And go Bills.